what's everybody? How's it hanging? How's it happening? You guys know who this is. This is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast. The podcast, Rolling Stone magazine says, initiates profound discussions with rock and metal artists allowing fans to discover the workflow of their favorite musicians and understand the factors that make the band succeed or fall from fame. We are also sponsored by Dark Fusion Systems, the best for your custom compute needs. Get $100 off your entire bill. Use code CVPod at darkfusionsystems.com. Link to the podcast below. Now to our featured presentation. We're going in a completely great musical direction with the band Showoff today. Chris, Mickey, Steve, Alex, and Matt all join us with the brand new EP Haverstraw out on August 23rd, which should be about now by the time the podcast releases. So you can go check it out. We talk about how these guys created this music, especially with having new members join and members that have been fans of the band for quite a long time. Chris's writing process and how the band ends up writing with this like individualized, contrived cohesion. I believe that's how I called it, but it's a beautiful thing at the end. When we asked the band about what they hope for the EP, Chris lays it down like none other, and it's a fantastic thing. So getting to show off with us. You ready? Let's go! Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of the Chord Progression Podcast. When we say the gang's all here, we literally mean it because every member of the band is here with us today. With their alternative rock sound blending pop punk and pop rock sounds of the late 90s all together, they've got a brand new EP coming out called Haverstraw. I gotta say it with a Brooklyn accent, or Haverstraw if you are from the Midwest like me. Coming out on August 23rd, and who doesn't want to listen to some great music? And this is a great way to do it by checking these guys out on this podcast. So please welcome Chris, Mickey, Steve, Alex, and Matt from Showoff to the podcast. So gentlemen, welcome to the Chord Progression Podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
So good to be here.
Thanks for being on, guys. How has everything been going in your world? I mean, right when we're recording this, new music just about to drop. I mean, we're at the time we're recording this, we're like, what, a week and a half away at this point. So how's everybody doing? How's everybody feeling about that? Any anxiousness, nervousness? What's going on in your worlds today?
Who's going first?
Go ahead. You opened your mouth.
All right. I'm sick of the EP already. I've heard it so many times. No, just kidding. I'm really excited to get it out so people
Glad
can
you
hear all
spoke
the hard
first.
work. Yeah. Coming out swinging.
I
Coming out
hate what
strong.
we're making.
Yeah, I'm just excited to be able to actually officially share it with people instead of them just hearing it from the speakers from my car as I drive past them. But
No, the question is, when you're driving past people, how loud is it? Is it loud enough to the point where it's like driving through a neighborhood and you've got the one guy with subwoofers in his trunk and it just rattles the whole entire neighborhood?
No, not that bad. Just as much as stock speakers really do it. It's moderately loud. I'm not trying to destroy the peace in the neighborhood, just trying to spread the joy of our music. So
see, that makes sense, but it feels like you also have to maybe, plaster the EP art all over your car, have like a little PA system on top of it, like you're somebody that's constantly going around telling people at the end is near and just blasting the new EP and having a blast. That's how you not disturb the peace, but spread the joy.
there used to be a guy in Milwaukee that did that. So
Yeah.
I think I should take his place and spread Showoff instead of the end is near music. So
That's exactly the inspiration I had for it, because I remember seeing that guy as a kid all the time. I'm just like, my God, this guy just doesn't stop.
Didn't he have like a big blue station wagon?
Yeah.
Like speakers
Yeah.
on the top and Hellfire and Brimstone. I'm the new guy, so I've got a lot of nerves going into it, but more excitement than anything. I wasn't there for the recording of it, but man, like I've adopted these songs as my own, and it's just it's for me because I was a lifelong fan before I joined of the band, so it's been kind of a whirlwind for me to come in and get acclimated to everything. But it's great, man. It's I can't wait. Nothing but stoked.
All right, Matt, now I'm just going to direct this right at you because it's the perfect segue for this, you bringing that up. So going from a fan of the band to joining the band and getting ready to release these songs with the band, what was the story like of you going from just enjoying the band, being a big time fan, always being in the front row going, woo, to now actually being on stage with them?
Well, it started, Showoff was the first band I ever saw. I was like 14. They played this venue in my hometown, La Crosse, Wisconsin, called The Warehouse. You might be familiar with it. And saw them a couple times there. really, really got into the music like behind the scenes. My best friend had burned me a CD with a bunch of their stuff on it. So I was super stoked on them.
See you in
Didn't
court,
see them for a while. What's that?
Said I'll see you in court.
Yeah, the rights battle. But no,
You
I
supported
saw
us.
them again. I saw him again a couple years later when Mickey had joined the band. And then I didn't see him again probably till the mid 2000s. Again at the warehouse, they had gotten back together with most of the original lineup, and that's when I actually started talking to the guys. Got to know them a little bit on social media, and then just kind of built up from there. I had briefly talked a couple times with Chris about trying out or possibly trying to join up. And it just finally worked out to where things in my life were made that accessible. So I came and I shot my shot, and it ended up working out.
It's not a bad way to look at it.
After they picked someone else and then went with me instead.
Hey, don't worry about that. The full-time job I work at, there were 2 guys going for the same job, me and another guy. They picked the other guy over me. They hired me again a month later, and I'm the only one that's still there. So I feel your pain on that one, man. I feel your pain. But it's still cool to see. I've seen it happen a couple times from bands where there's longtime fans, always around there, always enjoying the band, and then somehow, some way, through the magical world of this world we live in, make their way into the band and make their way to becoming a part of something they've always loved. It's always a great thing. And for the rest of the guys, what was it like not only just bringing Matt to the band, but bringing a fan from such a long time ago into the band and then having to be acclimated with the brand new songs and getting ready for this brand new release?
Yeah, it was a nightmare. No, it was interesting. I've known Matt for a really long time, and to be honest with you, like, didn't know his skill set or like, what all he could bring. But at the tryout, I was like, dude, it just feels right. And I thought that was really cool. And, having somebody that like not just knows the songs, but like actually cared about the songs and cares about the band, like that makes a big difference. I think that it, you have this passion for doing something that you've done for 25 years, this band. So finding somebody that like really cares about the music, cares about the legacy of the band, and wants to do their best and put their best foot forward, and like is cautious to do the right thing to make sure that what the band is doing reflects the legacy they know of the band. Like, those are all important things, and you can't get those with somebody who doesn't know what you're doing or doesn't know anything about the band. So it was awesome. And this lineup to me feels like family. It feels very good. I feel like we are all like focused on a goal and the things that we want, and I don't know, man, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, to Matt's credit here, I keep forgetting that he's not on this EP because he came in right afterwards and he like picked it up so quick, and just it's just really natural playing with him with the group. So it's a really good fit. And so I forget that he's not even on the record because of it. So good job, Matt.
I mean, I like Matt's outside perspective on the EP, where when he came in and we gave it to him, it was really nice to hear that we were able to capture what Showoff is all about from a fan perspective. So it felt like we were doing something right, continuing the legacy and carrying on everything that this band is and should be.
Yeah.
Well, even going beyond that too, because in talking with other bands where they've brought members in that have been fans for quite a long time, one of the biggest things going for that, and this will happen, as the band continues to go forward and you guys continue to make music, is with Matt now in the forefront, or in the foray, I should say. You're going to have an ability to have someone in there that, they're going to bring a different style to the writing style. They're going to bring their own influences. But from Matt's perspective, he knows the band so well, being such a long-time fan. He knows the sound that is Showoff. He knows what the idea behind it is. So there's always going to be that writing style coming from a place of absolute respect, understanding, know what you guys are going for. And when it comes to trying to maybe add something to there or take a twist on something, it's going to still flow in the overall style that is Showoff. So you're not going to be jumping from one style completely to the next. It's all going to be a cohesive thing, but it also still allows you to go into the future and expand that sound even further with someone who absolutely knows everything about what you're doing from a mental capacity.
Yeah. He has that, like, the knowledge of what we've done and where we've been, and and then now, like, where we're headed with the band at this point. That's a unique thing and an interesting thing, because you change lineups with a band, and like, people think about that, and like, you have somebody, like myself, who's always been the main songwriter, but like, you change band members and you start specifically with new material, you start coming up with your own sound. And so it is like, it's interesting to think about and interesting to like take part in, because it's going to be different than what Showoff was, because you're not the same person you were, 25 years ago, but you're also like mixing in all the styles and all of the elements of personality and etc. with the new members of the band. Like, now we have Alex on guitar. I don't see him on my right side. I'm assuming he's still here and on the toilet.
He's still here.
I'm not on the toilet, but I am here.
But Alex, like, he's like, can you curse on your show?
Fuck yeah.
Oh, fucking
Yeah.
So I was gonna say, like, he comes up with all, like, so many fucking riffs, like so many, and it's new for the style, or not really the style, I guess, but it's new for like Showoff to have the kind of chord progressions that he uses, the style that he plays in, but it fits so well with what we're doing. And like, moving forward, I could just see, like, with our full length, it's going to be a lot of songs that we're all writing together. And Alex is coming with those chord progressions, and every single person in this band puts their stamp on it. And I feel like, to me, like, I don't like saying the best version of the band or whatever, because every iteration of the band has been, like, in my personal circle or whatever, has been the right mix of people for the time that we were doing it. But it's the right mix of people for the time that we're doing it right now, for sure. And it's exciting.
That's a good place to be, though. Just as you grow as a band, too. I mean, that's just life in general. As we go through life, even though, I don't think I'm as old as you guys are, but we still all know the fact that there was some crazy shit around Milwaukee, going around. But from what we've seen is, you look back and you think about times when you just started into music, or when you were a teenager, there were certain things that you were into. You had certain perspectives. And as time goes on, those perspectives change, those priorities change, those ideas of what you like and what you're attracted to, those things change well, especially even musically. So as those things are constantly changing, you are going to end up having these different influences come in your music and present it in a way that you want to present it for the time that you're in. And as the band continues to evolve and where you guys are now, I mean, it's much different than where you guys were back in like 1997, 1999. But 25 years after that, it's something where you know where the band is going, you know where the sound is, and you know where you can go off of it. But you have this idea of where the band is now, and you have all the members in place to go forward with what you want Showoff to be in 2024. Because if you guys were just the same band that you were back in 1999, then there would be no growth, there'd be no evolution, there'd be no artistic, just absolute blossoming that would be happening, not only from the band as a whole, but individually as artists.
Right, exactly. Get out of my head.
Oh, I'm deep in your head, man. I'm all in there.
Oh shit.
Just like grabbing in, just yep, I'm in there. It's like a claw. Just, open it up, just, put the little probes in there. We're good. So if you've got like stitch marks around your head, my bad. I didn't clean up well enough.
Do. Right here.
I'll know where they
Yeah, we just need to go with a little like one on and Alex said, just right in there.
I got one right here. I got some scars right there.
Did you fall down the stairs again, Alex?
No, this was from, you can kind of see it, like this big scar right here from stitches. I think that's from skateboarding, which I'm not very good at, clearly. I land with my head. But I will say now, I don't think, hi guys, how are you? Good to see you. That was very nice and complimentary. And I also had a kind of similar trajectory to Matt, where I've known about Showoff forever. The only difference is in 1999 I was 0. That's the year I was born. So I've always written like guitar stuff that would be like adjacent to this kind of style, but not 100% like present within it, because I love so much cool shit within like punk rock, which that word is kind of a catch-all now. So really anything you write that's even a little bit fast or like happy and shit could probably be called punk rock. When's this coming out?
Most likely will come out after the release at this point.
Okay, so for example, when I found out there was an opening, it was actually like, well, for somebody to play guitar, it was actually like 2022, and I was trying to do some like helping out stuff, but it didn't exactly work out. But then when I kind of came back to, before I'd even been told, like, hey man, we'll keep you around. My screen's frozen. I'm not sure if I'm still in.
Oh, you're still in. You're still going, man.
Yeah, you're still good.
I had written like basically a whole song for Showoff, and that song is the one you'll hear. It's called Crimson, but I basically written it for this. I was like, if they want it, they'll keep it, but hopefully they'll keep me around too. So
yeah, and that's like one of our consensus favorites now too. So,
but that also just appeals to what we were talking about earlier and what Chris was talking about, where it's seeing where Chris has come from with the riffs and everything. It's all based on what you loved, and also just you understand what Showoff is going for. You understand the idea behind it because you've been a fan of the band for so long. You've been connected to them for so long. So when you're writing something, it takes on that evolutionary style with your other influences and what you've also liked, but it still has absolute respect to where the Showoff original style was, so that you can continue to expand and grow on it, so that when the EP does release, boom, people can get into it and they're going to end up seeing the style that they know. They're going to end up connecting to it with a little bit more of a punk flavor to it, but they're still going to have your flavor in it as well, and it's going to allow the overall sound to expand and get people wanting more of this going forward and seeing where the band can still continue to go over 20 years into existence.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm glad that it was like so well received. Like I wrote it for Showoff before I even knew I was going to like be a part of it officially, just because I was like, maybe they'll like it, maybe they won't. And it like stuck. I'm really, really happy about it. But yeah, all the guitar stuff is very reflective of like enough familiarity, but also obviously different styles and whatnot. So,
and one of the cool things I think about Showoff, I've felt this way from day one, is that it's a really versatile band in the sense that if you listen to, like say the self-titled album, a lot of almost like 50s, 60s kind of pop melodies and some structures. There's some ska, there's punk, really versatile. You listen to the album that came out in 2016, Midwest Side Story. I mean, that one's all over the place, but it never strays to the point where you're like, oh, is that the same band? Like it all fits. So I think that, there's just, and a lot of it I think has to do with Chris's writing too, and the way he structures his melodies and stuff. But yeah, I think this band has always been capable of really kind of just delving into breaking the rules in search of a good tune, and it definitely shows on the records, I think.
Yeah, I definitely think when it comes to writing, a lot with this EP too, that the song kind of dictated where it went by itself. It was just like, this is just very natural. And it was like, I think everybody was on the same page and knew exactly where to go and what to do with it, which is, I feel, very unique for a band, but very exciting. And knowing that, we have the right people to do exactly what we want to do.
And wouldn't you want the songwriting to be that way anyway? Because if you're trying to force something, you're trying to force an idea, you're trying to force an emotion, it's never going to come out the way that it's supposed to, because it's just being put in there with a very specific mindset or a very specific idea. And if you're not hitting that specific idea, it's essentially not going to work in the sound. Or if a listener or a fan goes to it, it's not going to connect them emotionally in that universal way. But if you let these songs just progress naturally, you're working on them, you're seeing what works, and you're letting that flow happen, that's where the cohesion of the band's going to come together in the songwriting process, but it's going to hit on every single emotion you want because you're understanding where the music's going. You're following along with its progression. You're basically using your heart as your guide to figure out where the music is going to go. And then that's when you get something that not only are you very proud of, but that when you play it for the fans and the fans hear it, they're connecting with it in the exact same way that you were when you wrote it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel with these songs, we weren't trying to be anything. We were just, let's write the best songs possible. And that was, we know that part of just letting the song be the song. And it is what it is. Like, we weren't being like, this is too dark, this is too poppy, this is too this. It was like, no, this is what the song is. It's awesome. That's just what it's going to be. And we were all happy with the end result.
And it's really fun to see where that is then, because we were taking it song by song, as Mickey was saying, to see what that evolves into and what that whole feel is. And one thing that Chris brought out while we were in the studio, while he was tracking all the vocals, he goes, something that was real that he really liked, and I agree with, is that the whole EP is very positive. Like, it's a very positive message that can, like, it should be relatable to like everybody too. It's just a positive thing, which I think is great, because you look around the world, there's a lot of negativity. So it's really cool to be part of like a positive voice amongst all of that.
Well, even beyond that, you listen to a lot of other music as well, just the topics that they cover too, especially in anything rock or metal related. They tend to be much more deep. They tend to be a little bit darker as well. I mean, the prominence of mental health and different issues that come there that's being spoken about in these genres is so powerful, which, yes, it is fantastic that people are putting that out there and are being open about it. But at the same time, it is also nice to have those songs and have those albums or EPs in there that are going to be bringing that positivity and uplifting it. Because if we're so focused in on the darkness or so focused in on the despair of the world, then mentally we're just going to live in that and we're never going to really find that hope to get out of it. Think about a band like Beartooth, where for the longest time, Caleb Jumbo was writing songs about the darker spots of life or just the things that he was going through. And then on the surface in 2023, I mean, every song was like positive metal and high energy every step of the way. And it wasn't my cup of tea when the album first came out, but we're about almost a year into it, and I love listening to that thing just because energy, fast pace, but also it's so damn positive that when you're having a bad day, you pop that on and you feel like you're in a good spot. So people are gonna be able to do that with the new Showoff EP as well.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, I'll say this one thing that I've always loved about Chris's songwriting, is that you really have no idea what his songs are about. Where you really think you do. Me and myself, I was a fan of the band. The Showoff being local from my where I grew up. But yeah, like being a fan and just not knowing like what he was actually writing a song about, and think you'd be like, oh yeah, I think the song's about this, and you talk to Chris and it's just about how a dog got loose in the yard and it made him think of something or whatever, just something way out there. But it's awesome, because then the song can mean whatever you want it to mean to you as a listener, and you're not necessarily tied down to an obvious theme of a song. That's always been, I've always been a huge fan of that.
Well, then now I gotta ask Chris, dude, what's your creative process for writing these songs as well? If you're just finding inspiration from potentially, a dog getting loose in the yard, or I'm gonna bring it up again, the crazy guy from Milwaukee spouting about the Rapture in a blue station wagon with a megaphone attached to the top of it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I feel like songwriting. So I've been writing songs since I was like 5, and the songwriting I feel like has been, and like I don't know want to say all musicians, but like every lead singer that I know has mental health issues. So I think, and I feel like a ton of people do, but like every single lead singer that I know has anxiety disorder, panic disorder, depression. And for me, like songwriting has always been a means to express myself in a way that, like, lyrically speaking, I feel like I have always kind of played off whatever the melody is. So the melody is what I come up with first, when I'm writing on my own. And then I start writing guitar to the melody. But lyrically, a lot of times, and I think maybe it's what Mickey was alluding to. Like, there's a song called I Don't Hate You Yet, from the Showoff 2017 or 16 or whatever it was when it came out. The Midwest Side Story album. And my dog like tore my couch up. It was a brand new like IKEA couch, and he just tore it up. And like I was just looking at him and I was like, dude, I don't hate you yet, but you're fucking so close. Like, and I was just started writing and I was like, I'm writing a song about you, motherfucker. And I was staring at him the whole time. Like, I have to buy a whole new fucking couch, because he didn't just tear up a cushion. He tore up the back. He like fucked up the legs. Like, and he's a tiny dog, So like that song itself, it was like, that it ended up being about that. But like so many of the songs, I was like a huge, and I still am, fucking nerd growing up. And like Girls and Me, it's like oil and vinegar. Like, I grew up in Tennessee. So I grew up in Cicero till I was 12. I didn't really care about girls. I think I kissed a girl once or something. But then I moved to Tennessee, and then it was middle of Tennessee. Internet has not been invented, so keep that in mind. And there were no punk rockers. It was a town of 6,000 people. The closest town to us, and I'm not shitting you, is called Frog Jump. And literally, it was like, I believe, called Frog Jump because a frog could jump over the fucking town. So just like trying to meet a girl, you're like, this is not going to happen. Like, I'm into punk music. I'm dyeing my hair, like shaving my head or whatever, wearing Doc Martens and like, doing my thing and skateboarding all the time and whatever. And, basically just a bunch of like, and it's not that way for all of it. And now I think the South is a lot different than it used to be. But when I was growing up, it was like some serious fucking redneck shit going down where people would be like, #1 skater hater, like driving by you and like throw shit at you. The cops constantly, I had a cop, there's a million cop stories, but dude, I had a cop like just come up while I'm skating at this doctor's office. He like, it's 11 o'clock at night and somebody complained, and he was like, hey, you know what? You guys can't skate here. And we're like, actually, we know the doctor and he told us we can. And he's like, we're going to call him up. And I'm like, you're calling him up right now at like 11 o'clock at night? And we could hear it because he did it through the CB. He was like, let's call it, no cell phones. Mm-hmm. So they call, I'm giving my age away. I'm like 92. So he calls this doctor on the CB. He has like the whatever dispatch call him, and he's on the phone with him, and he's like, yeah, these like punk kids are here, and they're like, skateboarding on your property, sir. And they can hear the doctor. He goes, who is this? And he's like, this officer, whatever the hell his name was, Officer Dickhead, and like just wanted to see, and the guy's like, yeah, they can skate there. I don't give a shit. I told them they can. Don't ever fucking call me again. I was like, fuck yeah. And then the cop took my board and broke it. Just stomped it. Broke it in half. And I was like, you fucking dick. But like, nothing you can do about it. That's the kind of town. And most of the girls were like into dudes like that. So I dated a couple girls, but then I started playing music and I started playing in the punk scene. And I was like, these girls are way cooler than the girls that I got stuck with. And, then you're falling in and out of love at 16, 17 and starting to write songs and playing in a punk band where people don't even know what it is. But Yeah. Going down that road, the whole style of music, I think it was like pop punk was very much associated with love songs, and like, yeah, I don't know if you know how many times I've been married, but
41.
a lot.
Uh,
Dude.
I'll say 41. I was going to guess, maybe at the most 36 and a half.
Yeah.
Many. But because I'm like like a romantic at heart, and like that's where a lot of those songs started coming from. Like now getting older, like I have kids, and you watch them grow up and you see things happening, and you just like start thinking a lot deeper about a lot of different things. So I feel like a lot of the songs on the CP are about probably more serious things, and but still fun. So it's an interesting mix, and like the songwriting evolving. Like you grow older, you should change, things should be different. um and I have a good time writing, so I feel like I went to like 300 places in that one diatribe I just finished.
Yeah, well, it was a beautiful 300 places.
Yeah, and I wanted to make a point is when Chris is working with us, what's fun is when we're actually writing a song as a group. I can attest that Chris is melody first before the words. But he has like this awesome skill of like saying nonsense, but it sounds like he's actually saying words. But then you realize it's like he's just like he's actually looking for like the sounds of there's got to be like a consonant or a vowel here. It's like listening to The Sims. If you know the Sims game, and it's like it's Simlish. Like Chris knows how to do that. It's funny because I'm always focused on the guitar. I'm like, how does he already have words for this? And then you realize, wait, he's not actually saying anything.
No, or when Chris grabs the guitar and he's like, no, it has to be this note. What is it?
Yeah,
what's this note? And then
that's a D.
Messes around. Yeah, and then he messes around. It's like, no, that's not it. That's not that's it. It's got to be this.
Yeah.
I'll say to your point, that's not the first time I've ever heard of an artist doing something like that, because I was watching a documentary this is filmed like around, I want to say 2005, 2006 from Rise Against, when they released Suffer and The Witness, and they were showing Tim McIlrath trying to, find the next vocal pattern, find the next, style for his songs. And he was doing the same thing where it was basically speaking Simlish or whatever you want to call it, in the where the words are supposed to be, just because he's trying to find the melody, trying to find the pattern, trying to find what's going to go there, then listens back to it and writes off of that. So it's like, what's going to hit, what's going to pop where, and where the inspiration is, and how it's going to sound best, and how it's going to sound the most natural coming out from you as an artist, because it could sound one way to one person. It could sound like it should be coming out a different way to a different person if you just have the instrumental there. But you're the one that's writing. You're the one that's creating the lyrics. You're the one that's creating the melodies to it, the vocal patterns. You got to do that yourself. And if you find that, you're going to drive down that, and it's going to allow you to go down that path of, especially if you're talking about deeper subjects a little bit, even with that positive twist now, just given the fact that, Chris, where you are in life, like you said, you have kids, your perspective has changed from when, we're in the town adjacent to Frog Jump and a cop, smashed your skateboard in half just because I said so.
Pretty much, yeah.
I will say, when it comes to writing drum parts, I really love writing drum parts to vocal melodies, as I feel like it's my job to like punch it and push it, and kind of create that rhythm behind it so that it hits right. With Chris doing his gibberish, it makes it like super easy because I know exactly what's happening, and I think that makes it kind of all come together way faster as a group, because you start hearing a lot of the final product and like where the song's going to end up before you're even there, which makes it really exciting, because then you get that satisfaction faster.
Yeah, we write really well together as a group. I feel like things come very naturally to everybody with all of our playing styles. Like everything, it's like a peg and you see things falling into place. I'm not like a music theory person. I have been like dabbling in it a little bit, like to just to see what I might find about it that I might enjoy. But kind of the thought process for me has always been, I never wanted to make it a science. I want it to be like an emotion. So you're playing with emotion, and I feel like when you get too much into theory, then you start like it becomes extremely, even though like many songs and pretty much every song is formulaic, like you're just gonna I would literally just see things in formula the entire time. I don't think I would be able to avoid it if I just did music theory and like I have respect for those people that are taking it that seriously, but I and and want to have that as their backbone and ability to write. But I think I do feel like a lot of times it interferes. I was actually talking with this other guy, and that got brought up, and he was like, "Yeah, I practice music theory, and then like it gets it. You can just see it get in the way where you're like naturally this is where the note should go, and then you're like, oh, but in theory." It shouldn't go there and it can't go there. And you're like, I don't give a shit about the theory then. This is where it feels like it needs to be, And I get that's what I get when I write. If I hear a note and when they were talking about like it can't be this note, needs to be what's the note? It's like if it ends in a certain way, I get like physically nauseous where I'm like, oh no, that can't be the note. That's not where it's supposed to be. And then I'm like, where is it? What's the note? What's the note? And then it's like, bun, 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 bun. Yeah, that's it. That's the note. That's where it should end. And
Yeah,
And
I
I
mean,
can attest to that because like, we're playing, from a pop punk genre, kind of as a starting point, but they're not pretty much every single song, there's a few exceptions, but most of them are not like a 4-chord song. That was actually like a learning curve for me as I joined the band a year and a half ago, where like there's a lot more chord progressions to learn and keep straight in your head. And when we're writing, that's what's cool, is because it's vocal first, we're not forcing the vocal melody into the chord progression. Like, oh yeah, we're playing a D there. We'll actually throw some interesting chords in there, or play a C major and then move it to a C minor right away. Like
Right.
I've never done that before in a song before, but it works really well. And it's just like some simple turnarounds that it really does just come naturally to Chris. And it's really cool that he brings that to the table and we just kind of make it happen as a group along with him.
I can still see where music theory would come into play. It's like, okay, there's definitely some commonalities that make things stand out. But when in the world of rock metal, especially punk rock, has the rules ever been followed? Like, the rules are always there to be broken. And if you're not there to be creative, you're not there to try something new and just follow a strict set of rules, then creativity in music ends up getting shrunk into a specific box. And if you're not able to break out from it, then you're limiting the creative space that is going to be there for an artist. So if you're going to go, from a C major to a C minor out of nowhere, and that's not what music theory states, well, does it work? Does it actually sound like it's going to work for this song? You're not going to know unless you try it. And if you try it and it works, then go for it, because it's going to be a lot better to try something that's wacky and new than to follow the exact same pattern if your creativity is going to be, stifled because of it.
Yeah,
Well, and
I mean, like, Matt.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think what would surprise a lot of people is, and it surprised me, is that I feel like we're like a surprisingly technical band, like not deliberately, but I mean, like you can hear the training in Chris's voice when he's come just years and years of doing this. Mickey, I thought was an absolute fucking monster on the drums when I first saw him. I still do. I mean, there's so much to his technique. I'm a drummer too, so there's so much that I absorb from like everybody else in the band. Theory, I'm kind of a theory geek. I don't know as much as I wish I did, but I'm very into why things fit into songs the way they do. And so like I'm learning a ton. I mean, every band I've been in, I feel like I progressively learn more. And this has been a fantastic learning experience for me, because whether we try to, emphasize it or not, which we really don't, there's a lot of technical ability in this band too. Even just watching Alex and Steve play off of each other on guitar. So I think that would surprise a lot of people, just kind of based on our sound, is there's a lot of really, really solid musicianship in this band. And that's made me better even in just a couple short months, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've had this talk with, I think Steve, Alex, and maybe you too, Matt, where like coming into this band saying it's like, yeah, outwardly we might be like a pop punk band, like in that world, but we never approach this band as a pop punk band.
Yeah.
Like inherently, we're all like punk kids, and that's where we grew up and what we are through and through. But
Right.
musically, it's we don't approach it to write pop punk music. We just write songs. It just inherently falls into that category, which I think I really appreciate bands that always sound genuine and aren't trying to force a sound. And I think what we are is natural, and that makes it, I think, much more enjoyable as a player and as a listener.
For sure.
I like fun chord shapes, so I've been doing a lot of that here. A lot of the early Showoff is still songs that are like, instead of being 4 or 5 chords a song, a lot of them are 7 or 8 different chords a song. So I love that in bands. There's a few other bands that kind of play the genre like that. That come to mind, bands like No Effects or Propagandhi, or like bands like Lagwagon. But a lot of Showoff songs, this is what I loved about them the most, is there might be, instead of 4 or 5 chords in a progression, there might be 6 or 7. So that was my goal when I brought it, and then I like to use other alternative chords that I hadn't heard in previous records and stuff, and put it into this one, which there's a lot of. Guitarists, when you're playing a power chord with just the 2, there's nothing stopping you from making it 3 notes and doing this.
Yes.
There's nothing
I've been saying
stopping
that
you
for
from
years.
going boom, boom, boom. There's nothing stopping you from doing that ever.
Dude,
Always do
Alex was ready for this moment. He's been waiting with that
it. There's
guitar.
nothing stopping you.
He,
The next time
he'd
you want to play an A, put this right there. You won't regret it.
Lemire saw
regret
this
it.
part a half hour ago.
I could see him
Before we
around him
started.
setting up for. He's like twisted his camera around. He was waiting for this moment to happen. Just like, I gotta pull this guitar. I gotta yell over the guitar. So you gotta be able to do this, man.
Like stable in one place, but
Been
then I
saying
was
that
like, my
since high
guitar's
school.
right here.
What's funny
Chord,
is like if you're like out getting food, like he'll just pull a guitar out of nowhere and do that,
Yeah.
and it's fucking wild.
And Chris also uses alternative chord shapes before, when he was like playing guitar with Showoff, because I've seen it. And he did there's a song called Misery that has it's a verse with, instead of, now that one's different, instead of like 7 or 8 chords, actually 2. And that's also equally as cool, where it's like, holy shit, this verse is 2 chords or 2 notes. And that's all, like, the amount of space and shit you can make with 2 is kind of incredible too. I love that shit. Chord shapes are important.
So that is nuts. And one thing that I kind of picked up from trying to figure out, okay, when it comes to how you guys write music all together with all the different ideas that you have, how you do it, it kind of sounds like it's individually contrived cohesion where everyone has exactly what they love, knows what they're doing in their own individual parts, but it's so cohesive where everything comes together, where you know how to do your own thing, but also play off each other so well so that all of this comes together to not only create the Showoff sound, but also continue to be able to expand it in any which way you want and still have it be as genuine and authentic as possible.
Yeah, like I think a lot of that comes from us respecting and trusting and believing in each other, and openly communicating on all levels. We definitely approach writing with no egos. Like if you have an idea, like let's hear it. It'll work or it won't work. And there's no like, no, we have to do this idea. It's like, we all know instantly and are all on the same page, which I think makes this band amazing to be in.
That's honestly a beautiful thing. And with the brand new EP coming out August 23rd, overall, what is your hopes for this EP upon release? What are you hoping it's going to do for everybody in the masses that are not only Showoff fans, but the people that are going to become Showoff fans off of this?
World domination. I don't know.
Is it at the ransom of $1 million? Yeah,
Right,
man, I saw
just
that.
did the same thing. The pinky. Yep.
I hope people
Chris?
like it and it makes people happy.
Yeah,
I mean,
I feel
I hope.
the important thing is that it gets out and people hear it, and it'll be interesting to see what people have to say and what they think of it. I know that we all really love it, so it would be really cool to and I've had that in the past where like somebody has said something like, I think any band that's been around for a long time, like not to diminish the value of that, but I feel like I've had somebody who was like, dude, like this song like literally saved my life. That blows me away to think about, like that it would be so significant to that person in that moment. But I think oftentimes you can like listen to a record or listen to a song and like you could, and I think that's what I enjoy most about melody. Like you really feel it's not just lyrically, like you could sing almost any words, but if the melody carries to a certain extent, like the harmonies on top of it, like you can really feel the emotion of what that moment was like for the person writing it. Like there's just some notes where you go where you're like, oh shit, like that fucking had to kill. That must have been a really painful moment. I don't listen to like a lot of classical music, but the thing that I do like about classical music is that, more often than not, like it's either orchestra driven and oftentimes the stuff I hear is piano driven. And I listen to it because I want to hear the melody. And that melody, like they write that that melody is like entirely significant because there are no words. So you have to convey emotion through just the melody of the song. It's the rhythm of the song, the melody of the song, like just the pace of the notes. Like it's really cool to hear that. And like the hope is that with this EP, um, the people that listen to it, like that it can do something for the people listening to it that like, maybe in that moment at least, that particular song that they're listening to is the thing that can make some sort of difference for them. Like that kind of deep impact is difficult to come across and to get, but it's important to me to think about like just I'm such a fucking sap. Like I have kids, so like everything, I watch fucking the commercials where like the kid comes home and they're making coffee and the parents like, and I'm like, yeah, they're coming home making coffee.
Why is this doing this to me?
Right. And it's like, it's those moments because I feel like as you grow older and you like recognize that when you're young, you hear people talk about moments that are so important. Like oh, time goes fast. Like, and you don't think about that when you're young. You're like, no, it fucking doesn't. Like, I'm on summer vacation and it's fucking lasting forever. This school year is lasting forever. That's what you think, and you don't see that until you start getting older. And then you're just like, holy shit, like 10 years went by. And so you see these moments that like, and I think in music you try to do that where you create these moments that like, and it's true, it is that way. People will listen to this EP. There are going to be some people who are going to hear this EP and it's going to mark a period of time for them. And when they come back to this EP later on, they're going to be like, it's going to move them because they're going to, it's not just the song, but the moment they listened to it, what was happening, like what in their life was going on. And like what I hope for this EP is that it can create long-term memories and feelings, but like in the very short term, I hope that it like the songs people can listen to and they can have the melody and the words, particularly the words in this EP. I feel like I took a lot of time to really get the right words for the songs, and really pay very, very close attention to each word. And I hope that those words and melodies can hit somebody in a way that like moves them somehow. You know, maybe they hear it and they're like, fuck that band, I hate them. Great. If you hear it and you're like, I love this, like, I don't care about this band, but this fucking melody, just this melody, along with, you know, the beat and movement of that piece of music, fucking just, it hits me. Like, just that part of it. That would be super significant for me. And I feel like, in the shortest of terms, that people would listen to it and be like, these are fucking cool songs. That's a really long.
I'll say that's
Well,
one
I mean,
hell of an
I'm basically
answer,
the same as you on that one. It's where to kind of reflect on that. I mean, when I was 14, 15, like the self-titled album did that for me. Like that was one of the first albums that got me excited about playing music in general. And if something I'm a part of in any way can create that feeling for even one kid who was in the same spot I was in, I mean, I'll consider it mission accomplished. It's basically exactly what he was saying, like that sentiment. I think I feel that because I was that kid, and now being damn near 40, it's like I really want to create that sort of experience now that I'm in a position to help do that. Because I know how drastically it changed my life for the better. I wouldn't be here if I hadn't heard that record all these years ago. So yeah, I completely agree with Chris on that one.
Say, I don't think that we could end the podcast any better way than that, because that is a beautiful way to put it. There are so many records in our own lives, like Matt, like you just said, where they've touched us and have marked a significant point in our lives because maybe they were just that a soundtrack to one of the biggest things that we ever did or one of the most important times in our lives. And it allows us to go back in time when we listen to it again and again to remember that moment, especially if it's for the positive. And if there's a positive sound behind it too, it amplifies it even more. So let's hope that the brand new EP really does that for a lot of people. And normally I ask one other question before we close this out, but I don't want to ruin that moment. That was fantastic. So, gentlemen, I want to thank you guys for being on the podcast today. We're going to close this out with 3 things. First things first, when it comes to Showoff, when it comes to the new EP, Haverstraw, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to check it out and you're going to want to give it a shot because it may just be an EP that's going to mark an incredible moment in your life, and it's going to be the soundtrack to that moment. Plus, you're going to want to see these guys play live when you get the chance. You're going to want to support them, so you're going to go to the description of the podcast where it says Find Showoff Online. Links and labels for everything are going to be down there for social media, YouTube, where you can stream the EP, where you can get it, where you can see them play live, where you can get tickets, and where you can get merch as well. So I'm doing all the hard work. I am called Google for this one. So go down there, go and take care of it. I'm doing all the hard work. You make it happen. Now it's time for number 2. And gentlemen, whenever I'm guesting the podcast, I enjoy the podcast. I tend to make a certain promise as a way to say thank you. I appreciate you taking the time, and I wish to continue to support the band in the future. I'm just going to preface it with this. Please do not bankrupt me on this, because the promise is when I get to see you perform live for the first time, I will come and say hi to you guys. This conversation was great, but the real promise is that first round's on me.
Hey, all right.
All right.
Coke Zero for everybody.
Yeah. Well, for me anyway.
Hey, that's fine with me. We'll do Coke Zero for everybody. That's, quite easy. So thanks a lot, Mickey. I really appreciate it. But now it's time for number 3. As we bring this episode to its conclusion, I cannot end this by saying goodbye. That is way too final. I would love to have you guys back on the podcast for another incredible episode at some point in the future. Plus, I got a promise I got to keep. So this cannot be goodbye. This has to be, I'll see you later.
All right.
See you, man. Thank
See you
you.
later, man. Thank you so much.
Well, folks, my interview with the guys from Showoff, and now it's time for Kevin's final thoughts. So, this is where my final thoughts coming in, and this is a fantastic episode. I mean, diving into their musical writing process, how the entire idea is contrived, and how these guys have such an individualized style that works so cohesively with each other. It's a beautiful thing. But I'm going to go with what Chris was talking about at the end when you talk about the hope for the EP, where think about the amount of times that you have listened to your favorite album. Now, why is it your favorite album, and why do you constantly go back to it? Me, I mean, I'll even think of my favorite song too. I mean, my favorite song is Savior by Rise Against. My favorite album is the one that came out before the album that Savior's on, with The Sufferer and The Witness. But it'll always take me back to a time where, I was discovering myself, and it was a song that always evolved with me or music that always evolved with me. So it always reminds me of me being me. And there are other albums too that remind me of certain things like that. I think of the Architects' Holy Hell album, because when I started listening to it, that's when I've discovered the greatness that was unclean vocals. I think about an album like, let's go with The Silver Screen by Ice Nine Kills, or Welcome to Horrorwood, where it's like, this was so solidified in me. Or even more recently, I'm not going to forget that new Knock Loose album, man. My God. Just perfect timing for something like that. But when you find music that just sits in with you for such a hugely influential piece, positive or negative, it's going to amplify that and make you remember it in either the best way, maybe not the best way, but you're not going to forget it, and it's going to be a beautiful thing. And I hope that Haverstraw by Showoff is going to do that for you in the best way possible. So be sure to listen. Go to the description of the podcast where it says find Showoff online. Links, labels for everything are going to be down there for social media, where you can stream the album, where you can watch music videos, where you can find them online, where you can find them in concert, and where you can get some merch. Also, be sure to subscribe to the Chord Progression Podcast on YouTube right down here. You can hit the follow button on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Every platform gets the full episodes every single Tuesday and Thursday, with YouTube having the Friday reaction videos as well. You can also go to the description of the podcast to find our links for Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Go follow us there. Thank you guys from Showoff. I'll be seeing you guys soon. You guys live in the same area that I do. We're going to be at a show together, and I got to bring you the Coke Zero. Everybody else do the same thing too. On that note, that's going to be it for me today, everybody. Thank you very much for listening to the Chord Progression Podcast. My name is Kevin, and you guys know how I end every single one. Up the big, healthy, and hearty. See ya!